Hey guys, and welcome to the Random Watch Dude channel. Thanks for joining me again today for another video. As you can see, I'm out on the water in the beautiful Hauraki Gulf here in Auckland. It's a lovely day. It's actually a weekday today, so I actually managed to get my kayak down to the water by foot because I've got a little trolley, and I'm very fortunate enough to live close enough to the beach in East Auckland here where I could actually just walk the kayak down to the beach. So because it's a weekday, it's ever so quiet, beautiful calm day. The tide is fully in at the moment, and I'll just show you here. I've just parked myself. There's my kayak. So for those of you that might be interested, this is a 4.5 meter long ocean kayak. It's made in New Zealand. It's called a Prowler Elite 4.5. I've had this kayak for about eight or 9 years now. Never really felt the inclination to upgrade it, you know, like I do with my watches. For some reason, you know, this kayak has just served me so well. Really enjoy it. And unlike my hobby for watches, I don't feel this insatiable desire to keep acquiring new ones and replacing with watches which, or with kayaks in this case, which were perfectly good to start with. So, hey, look, just quickly on that note, wrist watch check. So today I'm wearing, let me see if I can get that in focus there. I'll just go out into the light a little bit. So today I'm wearing my Omega Planet Ocean 2208.5. So this is a 45.5mm watch. This particular model dates back to 2005. So it's getting on a bit now. I think we might consider this to be a neo vintage. And as you can see, I've got it on this lovely 22mm NATO strap. Wearing all my watches on NATO straps when I go out for a paddle now, because I've got that extra security that you get with a NATO, just in case one of the spring bars pop out. I've still got another spring bar hanging on, flopping around, probably just long enough for me to realise that I've got a bit of an issue there. So yeah, really enjoying this NATO. I was actually wearing it last week on my FXD Marine Nationale, and it looks really good on the blue. And I think it looks pretty stonking on this this orange bezeled Planet Ocean as well. Really happy with that. So got this on today, and there's the kayak. So yeah, as I said in a previous video, orange is a bit of a colour for me. I'm liking my orange. So today, guys, just moving on to the subject of the video, I wanted to talk about the watch market again. And as I'm doing that, I'll just wander up here a little bit, just to give you guys a little bit of a view of this tiny little beach that I'm on. I wanted to talk about the watch market, and I made a video quite recently, actually, only about 4 or 5 weeks ago, where I talked about the watch market and the fact that it had really settled down. And when I talk about the watch market, guys, by the way, I'm talking about not just the AD related watch market. In other words, you know, what's available and what isn't from your local AD in terms of Omega, Tudor, Rolex. I'm also talking about the used watch market. And so I almost feel to a degree like, although I only made that video just a few weeks ago, it's almost out of date. Because things have changed. You know, there's a lot going on in the watch market at the moment. Obviously, you don't get to hear a lot about what's going on in the watch market from the dealers because, you know, for the last 18 months to 2 years, you know, the market's only been going south, really, isn't it? So the dealers are pretty keen, you know, not to talk too much about the market. And when I've had a chat with my local ADs about the watch market, you know, you start to hear words like, you know, settling down and quieter, you know, and things like that. But what they're actually saying, guys, is that it's gone pretty dead. You know, that's what I'm seeing. Certainly anything that's not related to Rolex right now is pretty much gone dead. And I don't think it's an exaggeration for me to use that kind of language. I know for a fact that some of the bigger brands, like, you know, specifically in the Richemont group, like your Breguets and your JLCs and your Panerais, nobody's buying those watches at the moment, guys. I can promise you, nobody's buying those. So here's my first piece of advice. If you're interested in a watch like, you know, a JLC or a Breguet or a Panerai or an IWC, bargain hard, you know, bargain really hard. If you want to buy a brand new watch that's not one of those hot brands, go and bargain hard, guys. And when I say bargain hard, I'm talking about, you know, sort of 20, 25, 30% plus kind of discounts. You know, they're the kind of discounts that I think you should be going after. And it was only a few weeks ago that I was saying that I think, you know, you should go for 10, 15, 20 max. But no, things have changed just in the last few weeks. And things are continuing to drop. So, and the same goes with Tudor. I've got to be honest with you guys, Tudor, I think the market for brand new Tudor at the moment is really, I don't think it's dead, but I think it's really soft. Really soft. So if you're looking to get yourself one of those Tudor Black Bay chronographs that the ADs would laugh at you in the past if you even went in and asked for one, because they were trying to hype it up like a Daytona, well, they're available now. I've seen them quite frequently in the last sort of 2 or 3 months available for sale. So again, go in there, don't pay retail. Don't pay retail for any Tudor is my advice. Unless it's one of those really super difficult to get ones. And I'll be honest with you, my Marine Nationale, that FXD, which I didn't buy brand new from an AD because I just couldn't get one. They all kept telling me that they weren't available, they weren't getting them in stock. To a degree, I do believe that, because I think Tudor have deliberately, held up the stock availability on the FXD. I think you'd be lucky to get a discount on an FXD Marine Nationale. Although I think you could get a discount if you want one of those Erlingi. There's 2 Erlingi models that are out there. I think you could get a discount on those. I don't think they're anywhere near as desirable as the OG Marine Nationale. And of course, the other one is the black bezel and black face FXD, which was released quite recently. That also, I think you ought to still expect to pay retail for that, or get a small discount. So the other side of things, guys, I wanted to talk about really was the used market. Now, the used market's really interesting because I've been watching it quite closely, and when I say used, I'm not talking about watches that are just 1 or 2 years old. I'm talking about neo-vintage and vintage. So I've seen on some of the really nice neo-vintage Omegas, as an example, and some of the nice neo-vintage Tudors, the market for those has actually been increasing for a little while now. Now, there's a reason for that, and that is because, for example, 2 or 3 years ago, you could have got like a 2254 4.5, that Peter Blake, you could have got that for about 30% less than it's going for at the moment. And the reason for that, guys, is because people are at a stage now with all the price increases that the big brands have put through, and also some of the smaller brands. Everybody, have whacked up their prices so high, guys, that it's actually starting to make the secondary market look like a bargain. So that's cool. That's pretty normal. Why would you pay retail for a Tudor Black Bay when you can get a used one for almost literally half the price right now? That's just 2 or 3 years old. And why would you pay 11 grand for an Omega Seamaster brand new? And I'm talking New Zealand dollars here, guys. But you know how much a Seamaster is in your own currency. When you can still buy like a Peter Blake as an example, you can still buy a Peter Blake for about half the price as a brand new Seamaster. I'm going to argue with most of you that it's a better watch than the current Seamaster. And you can even afford to throw in a full Omega service, and you'll still be saving yourself 35-40% on the retail price for a current model Seamaster. And I think getting to my point, I think a lot of guys have cottoned onto this now, is that hey, why would I go to an AD if I was after a Seamaster or a Tudor Black Bay when I can just go buy one off the secondary market for nearly half the price? And also, then what's happened, guys, I think I've seen this over the last sort of 2, 3, 4 months, is that the secondary prices for these models, some of these neo-vintage models, are definitely increasing, like the really nice neo-vintage Omegas. And this would be a classic case. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that this watch, I could have probably picked this up for, I'm going to say, about half the price, even 3 or 4 years ago, that I have to pay for this sort of watch now. I'm putting this one in for service quite soon, by the way, because I've just decided that it's, although it doesn't really need one, I am going to put this in for a service because it's going to stay with me for a little while, I think. But getting to my point, the secondary market has definitely started to cotton on to the fact that, hey, I can still pay half the price and get just as decent a watch. So then we take a full circle and say, so what are the ADs going to do about this? What can they do about this? And I've got a suggestion, guys, because if you really are yearning to get yourself a watch from an AD, and I'm going to exclude Rolex from this conversation because nothing has changed with Rolex. If you want a decent Rolex model, you're still going to have to walk in, do all the things that I've told you about in the past, which is to be yourself, see them regularly, and maybe have a little bit of a spend history, get that going on. That hasn't changed with Rolex, guys. And even despite, some of the issues that I've had with a particular Rolex AD recently, and the fact that I'm just not on the list anymore for a Rolex, guys. I'm just, I'm moving on. But I haven't haven't lost my love for Rolex, and I certainly am thoroughly enjoying the Rolex models that I have. But if you want to get yourself a hot Rolex, nothing that I've just said applies. You've still got to go in and do all those things that I've talked about in the past. But my advice to you guys, and this is something which I've just been thinking about just recently actually, is we've got Watches and Wonders coming up at the end of March. Now, for those of you who aren't really familiar with Watches and Wonders, that's basically the big Swiss market expo. That's the big exhibition for all the big Swiss brands. It's in Switzerland. All the big brands go there, apart from I think Swatch. The Swatch group have decided to basically abort themselves from it. I don't know why they did that actually. I think they just decided they didn't want to be a part of that anymore. But apart from that, you've got all the big watch brands there, and what tends to happen is that the big watch brands, they tend to save their big releases for Watches and Wonders, and that's like a week-long event which starts on the 31st, I think, of March, or certainly the very end of March, and goes into the first week of April. Now, there's going to be some new models being released then, guys. There's going to be some really nice new models being released. I think the big watch brands know that this is a big year for a lot of them. They've got to reignite the hype, reignite the market for their watches. And some of the big brands, and I'm thinking particularly Tudor, they've got some work to do to get people excited about their product again. So my advice, guys, is if you're thinking about getting yourself a brand new watch right now, is get yourself a big juicy discount. I would be very careful about Tudor right now, because I think Tudor are about to upgrade a lot of their models, and you might find that if you bought yourself, for example, a brand new Tudor Black Bay 58 right now, I think you might regret it if you're not careful, unless you get a massive discount from the AD, because there's a lot of talk around the place that the Tudor Black Bay 58 is one of those watches that's going to get updated. And if they do, that's going to do wonderful things, guys, in the secondary market for the existing model. Same with the Tudor Black Bay chronograph. If that model gets upgraded or updated, which it should, it's going to do wonderful things for the secondary market for the existing model. And wonderful things in our world means you're going to be able to get it for cheaper. So, bit of advice there, guys. But I'm just going to circle back round to the start of this video, where I said essentially that the watch market for brand new watches is absolutely dead as a doornail. Be very, very careful if you want to get yourself a new watch right now, that you don't end up maximizing that discount that you're entitled to, because I can promise you guys, anything outside of Rolex right now, there is just zero demand for it. So go for your lives, guys. Get in there, get in front of the ADs, put these watches on, try them on, and don't walk out with any watch on your wrist unless you've got yourself a pretty significant discount right now, is my advice. And I look forward, hey, thanks guys for joining me on this video, and I look forward to catching you on the next one. Take care. Cheers.